The playoffs are here, and you can predict the action all the way to the finals with FanDuel Predicts. Predict the spread, the total points, and even the game-winning moments that make the playoffs. Sign up and get a $25 bonus with FanDuel Predicts.
Offered by FanDuel Prediction Markets, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant. 18-plus bonus is non-withdrawable and expires 7 days after receipt. Trading derivatives involves significant risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Manage your activity with their consumer protection tools. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/predicts/bonus-offer-terms.
You said this place was steps from the water.
We just haven't found the steps yet.
How much did we save?
Enough.
Enough to get lost?
Or you could book a stay with Hilton.
Welcome to your oceanfront room, just steps from the water.
The Hilton sale is on now. Book on Hilton.com or the Hilton app and save up to 20% to get the stay you expected. When you want savings, not surprises, it matters where you stay. Hilton, for the stay.
Best defense attorney in the world today, usually on Fridays, but he was in Germany last Friday, so he hops on this week on a Wednesday morning. My guy, Jojo. Tack, good morning, pal. How are you?
Good, brother. How you doing?
You're back in the United States, right?
Yeah, for a day or so. Then we head over to Italy for my son Matt's wedding. So
yes,
get married. So the whole crew's heading over, Tish and the kids and everyone. So we have his wedding on Saturday.
Mazel tov. I know I called you last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, and you were getting your tuxedo fitted. How'd that go?
Not as well as I would have liked. And, I thought I was a size 32. Apparently, I wasn't. But that's okay.
What town in Italy is Matthew getting married in?
Ravello, a place obviously I've never been to, despite all my years of Italian football and all that. Ravello's in near the Amalfi Coast, near Napoli. So
beautiful.
It's supposed to be a beautiful place. I'm sure it is. And,
so you never even went there when you owned all those soccer teams. You never went, huh?
No.
Yeah.
This is like a vacation. It's a destination spot. It's
right.
Not, one of the. I don't even think they have a soccer team. So it's more of a place where
like a beachy place.
Go for beachy place.
Right,
exactly.
Well, so the towns that when you had your soccer teams, I think you were in Catania at one point, right? Where else were you in Italy?
Well, I started out with AS Roma. I was the vice president there for 4 years, one of the biggest clubs in the world. Put that deal together. Then I became president of Bologna. We won the championship there. Became president of Venezia. We won back-to-back championships there. Then went to Ferrara. I was at Catania, but we never closed that deal. So I was down there for a little bit. But then we went to Spal and Ferrara.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
That was the grand finale.
That's right. And then when you were running all those teams and winning and on magazine covers all over, and they were knighting you, Sir Tacopina. Your friend there, Mike Piazza, he got involved in soccer in Italy too, right?
Yeah, my buddy Mike did. He didn't listen to me really as far as the perils of Italian football. It's not for the weak of heart, and really there's a lot of. Honestly, I wouldn't recommend it for anyone that is sane. It's a difficult place, and Mike trusted people that convinced him to join and come into the league. And I was telling him that he really had to surround himself with the right people in the know, people who weren't just his friends, because you get eaten up over there. And Mike got, unfortunately, Mike's a great guy. I mean, a terrific guy as a person, brilliant, obviously one of the greatest players of all time. But there he had a rough run.
They ate him up.
A real rough run.
Yeah, they ate him up. Yeah, so are you, we'll move off soccer in a second, but yesterday, right here, Pier 17, South Street, Seaport, they announced the 26-man roster for the American team, and Weston McKennie spoke, and no one knows who that is, and Christian Pulisic spoke. No one knows who that is. And people are very angry that Diego Luna didn't make the team, and no one knows who that is. But I was saying no one. I mean, look, there's millions and millions of soccer fans around the world. It's the world's most popular sport. It never took here. They tried with Beckham. They're trying with Messi in Miami, but it never took. But, listen, during the World Cup, you're going to find every bar on 1st Avenue, 2nd Avenue, 3rd Avenue packed with raging Americans and Europeans rooting for their teams. Are you crazy American during this World Cup, or did the Italians have a team?
We used to have a team. I think they've disbanded their team. I mean, I think we're competing in the Special Olympics in the Italian national team. I don't think they're in the World Cup. I mean, they've missed their 3rd World Cup in a row. So it's the most disgusting thing I've ever been involved in. I've been involved in the Italian Federation, the Italian Soccer Federation's executive committee, and I have a seat there. And I have just about had it with that. I mean, the Italian Soccer League, we have 4 world championships, Italy, okay? Second most to Brazil. they've missed the last 3 World Cups because they can't qualify, and that is just one of the most ridiculous things.
It's crazy. Yeah,
I mean, you have a country that lives on soccer. It has been one of the most dominant countries in the history of soccer, and for the last three World Cups, that's
crazy.
16 years,
right?
16 years front to back have not been in the World Cup because Italy is so fatalistic in everything they do, and it's not a good place to do business.
By the way, I think I think the 2 guys I just mentioned playing for America, McKennie and Pulisic, both play in Italy.
Yeah, they do, and that's the problem. Italians stop developing their own talent, their young players, and they bring in the best players from all over the world to play in their big teams. The top 10 goal scorers in Italian football, Serie A, there's not one Italian on that list, not one, and therefore. That's an ominous sign how the World Cup team's going to do, how the national team's going to do. Honestly, I could care less, Sid, to be honest with you. Soccer is in my rearview mirror. It was never my favorite sport, hockey, baseball, football.
Right.
But it's in my rearview mirror. And once I put something in my rearview mirror, it is in my rearview mirror. I don't look back. I don't look at it. And I could care less about the World Cup.
All right. There you go.
Of course, I hope the United States of America wins the World Cup, but that's about as likely as, me scoring a goal for the United States of America in the World Cup.
You're not even playing. Right. So let's get to a guy we both root for, President Trump, and he's got these legal cases going on now. I mean, I don't think people realize this because you got to be keeping score, really. But the appeals courts are so busy every day with Trump stuff, unless you're a big-time lawyer like you, wouldn't even know it, but almost every day, right, Tac?
Yeah, I mean, it's becoming really something to see because, look, appeals courts are now controlling the narratives here, okay? And appeals courts, and they're dealing with so many cases for President Trump. They just put a big halt on that $83 million payout to E. Jean Carroll, right? And, I didn't think that was ever going to come to fruition, and that was stopped in its tracks because, look, that's what appeals courts do. They give reality checks to jury verdicts and trial courts. So appeals courts matter more than trial headlines, Sid. The difference between political narratives and legal standards are appeals courts, right? Because whatever happens, when a jury in President Trump's case, for example, in New York, they hated him. Clearly, the jury hated him, right? So they gave a ridiculous verdict against him from a monetary standpoint in Alina's case. It was ridiculous. The plaintiffs didn't even ask for that. They asked for $24 million. The jury awarded $83. Think about that. That's what kind of a fair jury he had, right?
Yeah.
So this is what appellate courts do. They straighten that stuff out. And massive verdicts are increasingly vulnerable on appeal now. And you're seeing that more and more. So while the courts are becoming skeptical of emotion-driven damages, I think it's coming to fruition. I really do. So trial courts create headlines. Appeals courts create laws, Sid. And that's what we have here. So the jury verdict is never the final chapter. And I try to tell that to everyone. It's sometimes it's just halftime, of the big game. And so, President Trump has a lot of cases that have been reversed on appeal, held up on appeal, and that's what appellate courts do. And it's not just President Trump; it's all over the country. You're seeing this now.
Yeah. 2 more will let you run. Joseph Tacopina, the best defense attorney in the world today. My dear friend of 48 years, and his beautiful boy Matthew about to get married in Italy in a couple of days. I did want to ask you about the Attorney General because when Trump first got rid of Bondi, there was a lot of talk that Lee Zeldin would be the next AG. He got it. And if not Lee Zeldin, a few whispers about everybody from Janine Pirro to Harmeet Dillon. He put Todd Blanche there as the interim guy, and it's become increasingly clear that Todd Blanche isn't going anywhere. That's his job. He's going to be Trump's AG. What are your thoughts on your friend Todd?
I've known Todd both as a lawyer and a friend, Sid, and what separates him is not just his intellect, and that's high. It's his character. So he's fiercely loyal, he's deeply ethical, and he's never intimidated by pressure or politics. So Todd's literally one of the smartest and toughest and most principled lawyers I've ever met, really. And he brings a certain sense of calm and judgment, integrity, and absolute fairness to every fight. You saw him deal with that senator on television who was trying to put words in his mouth. And Todd didn't get crazy. He didn't start insulting him. He just stood his ground in a very sort of, reminding me of the Reagan era where, you were tough, but you were dignified tough. And that's exactly the qualities you want in someone serving the American people in such an important role. So for me, the best thing President Trump could do is confirmed Todd as the Attorney General. So
Right.
he is the kind of lawyer you want in a foxhole with you. He's disciplined, he's strategic,
Agreed.
he's unshakable,
Yep.
and he's always 3 moves ahead.
Yep.
Todd and I have been together for a while on cases. I love working with him. Hopefully one day we get to do it again when he's out of that, government position. But he's a terrific, and he's a great guy too. And
Right.
he's a massive Ranger fan.
Not a massive Ranger fan. Take the interim tag off President Trump and just make Blanche the full-time AG. One more. I bring on all these people to talk about the war, and of course you're known as this attorney, but you've got this amazing Army experience. That's why you're in Germany last week, and you got a lot of friends, real friends in high positions, and your analysis of Iran has been spot on. You've been practically perfect, okay? And it's not your job to be, political analyst on foreign policy, but you've been spot on. And you use words like stuck and these other words, months ago. And I started using them, and boy, it looks more and more every day like you're right. So whether we're talking about drone warfare or AI, new ways to fight and to combat fight, the truth is the Iran situation is not about to wrap up, Joseph Tacopina, anytime soon, is it?
It's not, Sid. And look, I don't take any pleasure in saying this, and I'm not necessarily wanting to be right here. I want the United States of America to come out on top. I want our military to be safe and successful, and I want the president, because he's our president, to win, right? And I want us to win this war. It's now a war. It's different. When we're not in a situation where we've declared victory already a couple times, and that was premature. We're in a position where we are a bit stuck. The strait is a problem. Our munitions are low. We're trying to resolve this with a deal, but where we honestly our credibility is been questioned by our enemies, and what I mean by that is we've already said there'll be no deal. Other than unconditional surrender, then there is a deal, then there's no deal, and there's a ceasefire, and then there's no ceasefire. And, it's like the boy who cried wolf. We have to be firm in our position. Whatever that position is, we have to be firm in it. So a ceasefire without enforcement is sort of just a timeout. So it's time now we do something decisive. And we really, really have to make a move here one way or another, whether it's resolving this thing with some sort of a deal and let's just move forward and move on because, a lot of the country is suffering from this war, right? The gas prices are. Sid, I filled up yesterday my tank. It was $6.20. Now it was one of those crazy Manhattan gas stations, right? But
yeah.
$6.20 a gallon.
Yeah.
That's the first time I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like,
a lot.
Oh my God.
It's a lot.
Give me $20.
Yeah.
Don't fill it up. Just give me 20. Right? It was like,
Yeah.
I'm fortunate enough where I can not stress too much about the gas prices, but there are people who budget literally the exact amount of dollars a month they spend on gas. That has screwed up their entire monthly budget. And these are a lot of his, the president's supporters. And we have to get that fixed before the midterm election.
No, we have to. And look, and I'm not a war guy. You have a relationship with the generals in the Army. Greg Kelly served, but I'm a pretty smart guy. And the only way out of this is a deal, because to really claim victory and win, we're going to have to kill a lot of people. What do I mean by that? Well, you got to send our troops in there, because some of that enriched uranium is in those mountains. You can't get to them with planes. So now we're going to lose. We're going to lose our soldiers, which Trump can't afford to do that. If you really want regime change there, you're going to kill more civilians. Trump doesn't want to do that. To really take over the strait, it's going to require more bombing and more military. People are going to die all over that country. That's the last thing Trump wants, but there's no other way to win. Am I wrong?
Sid, you really said that perfectly. And I was just, again, with our generals in Germany and speaking about this and talking about the Iran theater sort of assessment. And when I say Iran theater, I think you understand what that means. That's a sort of a military phrase for how they describe a situation and what's going on in a particular locale, meaning, it indicates the sort of elevated missile readiness and proxy activation risks. It's all these sorts of things that are going on in Iran. So when you say Iran theater assessment, it's a military intelligence term. It generally means, the evaluation of entire operational environment involving Iran, military, politically, strategy, regionally, and that's what we're dealing with right now. So you're not wrong. You're right, and we have to figure out a way out of this because Iran's fine to drag this on forever. They haven't even they still have some of the big boys as far as their missiles ready to go.
Yep.
They still have it. So
and they love it. The longer they drag this out, the more they stick the big middle finger to the United States. They're loving every second of this. They want to drag this thing out forever.
Exactly. And they know they're doing damage to the president by having this dragged out. They know that it's affecting the American people. They sort of mock us in their social media posts. It's unbelievable. Like they're like, how are those taxpayers doing? How's the gas prices going there? It's like they don't seem to be as affected. And remember, they're a different mindset there. It's a completely different mindset. They're not like us. They're not worried about the GDP or they're not worried about inflation. They're not worried about the gas prices. They're not afraid to die. Okay, so it's just a different mindset.
Yeah.
And they hated America before this started. We've now, I think, poked a hornet's nest, and I think we're in a position where we're really going to have to try and wrap this thing up because this could drag on for years, Sid. We don't want this to be another Russia-Ukraine situation.
No, well, you're probably right.
That could ever happen.
That's where his supporters are getting angry because, it's one thing when you say America first and you try to end a conflict that they started 47 years ago. That's great. I was all for it. But once you start talking about years like Afghanistan, like Iraq, then that's where the president goes back on his promise. You see, his detractors right now, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. He has not gone back on his promise. He has not. Okay, sometimes America's first doesn't mean America only. Okay, America first sometimes means you got to take out other countries, other nemesis to make sure we are America first. But if it drags on too long, then their case becomes more solid every day, and we don't want that. Anyway, have a safe trip. Congratulations to you and Tish and Matthew and the whole Tacopina family. He's a great kid, gorgeous guy like you. And enjoy Italy, and we'll talk when you get back. Congratulations on what was another amazing appearance.
Okay, my brother. Thank you very much. Say hello to the family.
You got it. Love you. Joseph Tacopina right there, the best defense attorney anywhere in the world, and my dear friend, I'm proud to say, of 48 years.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?